Hello, hello. It's Dan here with my good friend Keto Kev, and I'm over the moon that we're ending our series Keto Health by doing this live. So, Keto Kev is in Germany right now, but I know we've probably got people watching from all over the world, and it's a chance really to ask Kev your questions that you might have. Now, just before I go into that, I just want to say a good evening to you, Kev, first. Welcome to the show again.
Yep. Thank you very much for having me again.
It's great. Where are you right now? What's that room behind you?
I'm in my dining room.
Oh, nice. That looks like a really significant room. Loving it.
I just steal the rooms as I go along with moving. I just stolen this one. It's like, yeah, this is my office now.
Love it, love it. So basically, I'm getting a tour of your house very gradually around the place, different rooms at a time. Yeah. Okay, so let's just recap because some people might not have followed the series that we did together. That was 4 episodes, and I thought we could just go through those quickly for people and just sort of just go through some of the highlights really and stuff that people might have not listened to. If you haven't listened to these episodes on the podcast, just go back on either Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and just put in UK Low Carb. And these are all called KEyTO Health, which is KEyTO Health with Keto Kev. So first one we talked about was food, then we went to fitness, to health, and to well-being, which I think it's fair to say, you say these are the 4 pillars of a good, healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, that's what I go for. I think that if you want to be healthy, do you know what I mean? You can be healthy and you can lose weight and do keto. Sure, you can do it if you just concentrate on food, like counting your macros. But if you really go deep into everything else, then you can. It's not just losing weight and reversing your diabetes or something like that. It's actually being super healthy and being the best version of yourself, and that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I love that. You know what? There's some people I know who have done keto a bit like they might have done other diets. Not saying it's a diet, it's a way of life, but they've kind of adapted to it. They've had their few months on keto, and I would say at the end of it, well, what lifestyle change have you made, or has it been just a real short, sharp, go at keto, and then afterwards, you could get into bad habits very quickly. You might have the same problems start happening again, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so many people, they just say, yeah, I've done keto and it didn't work for me and I gained all the weight back. And that's like, yeah, they didn't, I hate to say it, but you didn't do it properly. You know what I mean?
Right.
You've really got to kind of do it seriously and make the change long term.
Yeah, love that. Okay, then. So, going into some of those topics, then. So, we started off with food. Seems like the most obvious place to start when it comes to low carb and keto.
Yeah.
I think that is a really good topic. I mean, there's really good stuff came up there about the good fats, the bad fats, what carbs. But what I loved is you focused much more on the quality of the food than just the macros. Like,
Yeah.
there's the number of the food, which is all very well, but you're actually telling me, no, you know what? Like, it might seem like it's good in calorie terms, or because it's for fat and not, for instance, a carb, whatever. But actually, what is the quality of the food you're eating? I thought that was really, really important. Can
Yeah.
you tell me a bit more about that now?
Yeah. I mean, if you are just going to go and do keto and you're going to count your macros and that's going to be it, then I hate to say this, but you might as well go and do it any other diet, because that's all you're doing is you're counting calories, you're counting macros. That's it. You're just sticking to those numbers. And that's not what it's about. So if you look into I know it's a lot to take in, but if you look into every ingredient that you eat, then you can really, and what it does to your body as well, your individual body. So some people might have a tolerance for certain, an intolerance, sorry, for certain foods. So we can really hone in and look at what are the best, kind of foods for you, and what other foods do, like when we talk about the lectins and the oxalates and, anti-nutrients and stuff like that, that we want to, these things that we want to try and limit or even avoid. That's why I break it down. And that's what I go into. Like, it's not just a case of, like I said, follow your macros. Anyone can do that and they can lose weight. You can lose weight on a calorie deficit in any diet. It's proven. It's proven that we can do it. Some of us have done it before, but it's to lose the weight, heal your body, and keep it off with the foods that we want to eat. That's the key. That's the key.
Yep, love it, love it. Okay, and just to let people know who are now just tuning in, so this is a live with Keto Kev on UK Low Carb. If you have a question for Kev, then this is your opportunity. So if you're listening to the series Keto Health, we've been making the last few weeks, or if you're new to Kev and you haven't heard the series so far, or if you haven't listened to the series but you know Kev and you think he's great like I do, then please leave a comment underneath on Facebook and also on YouTube and wherever you're watching this right now, and we can actually address that to Kev directly, which is fantastic. The next topic then was fitness, of course, and I just want to say this as well. This is all part of Kev's online program, which I'm going to be doing the next few weeks. And of course, fitness is a big part of that program, isn't it? So do you want to talk about general fitness and movement and how it is we should be treating and looking after our bodies in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, if we go back and we look at our ancestors, and all of this kind of comes from an ancestral way of thinking, I always think back and say, what would I do, you know, a million years ago? How would I live? I wouldn't sit in my cave all day doodling on the wall, wanting to somehow, you know, trying to draw pictures. I would go out and I would get out in the sun and I would move. So it's a big integral part of, movement is everything. We have to get those joints working. We have to get out. We have to be active. If you are going to hunt, if you're going to want to take down a beast, then you've got to be fit enough to go and actively hunt. So fitness is important. And obviously we're not all going to run around Tesco's or Waitrose or Sainsbury's with a spear or, pushing your partner around in a trolley and they're hunting down the chicken in a packet. So we have to simulate those kind of things. You know what I mean? I mean, that would be awesome to watch. I'd love to see someone do that one day, like running around in a trolley, pushing their partner around. You know what I mean? So we have to simulate that. So we simulate these kind of things by going to the gym, by running, by doing all of those kind of things and being active and being fit. And it's so important. And people don't realize, they think that they can just change with food, but you've got to get some kind of fitness at any level, and everyone can do something. And I always go back to, there was a guy that was in the army, and I didn't know him personally, but I know of his story. And he was in Iraq, and he was doing in fact, he'd done the tour after I did. He'd done Optelix 6, and he lost both his legs. And, sadly in an IED, he got blown up, lost both his legs, and he couldn't do anything. And he was depressed and he felt like crap, as you do. He lost both your legs.
Yeah, understandable.
Because he was an active, fit, he's a fit person. And he ended up in a wheelchair, and limited. And he said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to, because he started to gain weight. He said, I'm not going to do it. And he started doing resistant bands exercises, and he started doing upper body, and he started doing weight training. And then he, when he got his legs fitted, he started doing seated deadlifts and stuff like that. It was like, he would, everything. And we've all got the ability to do some kind of, something or other, some kind of fitness, even if it is super low level, low impact. There's got to be something that we can all do. I know that a lot of people are in a lot of pain, but we're changing our food, we're changing our way of living. Our pain can go away if we've got, the right kind of level of fitness as well. So it's imperative that we do some kind of fitness. And even when I was in the army, I hated sport. I never did it. I was always avoiding it. But now I'm out. You can't keep me away from the gym. I love it. It's just brilliant.
but isn't it the mind thing? Because I came back, I was away for the weekend. I came back on Monday and I was like, you know what, the last thing I want to do is get in that gym right now. I'm really just can't be bothered. So I made myself get dressed, because then I thought, if I'm dressed for the gym, it's going to look ridiculous while I'm standing at my house in shorts and a t-shirt, So then I kind of thought, well, if I'm at this stage, I may as well just get out the door. So I did. And I went to the gym. I felt amazing for it. And I'm trying to get into the habit of doing it. But it seems like if that guy you just described from the operation in Baghdad and in Iraq generally, if he is somebody who can work out, then anyone can. There's no excuse. It's a mindset. If you can get over the mindset, you can do it.
100%.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, you can. We humans, we can do anything if we put our minds to it. And I literally mean anything. Look at all the things that have been accomplished in the history of humanity, and if someone wants something, and if you want it bad enough, you're going to do it. And if you want to lose weight, you're going to do it. And if you want to go to the gym, then there's no excuse. And although I'm not a big fan of him these days, but Arnold Schwarzenegger said, don't wait until Monday, because Monday never comes.
Yeah.
You know, and it's always like, oh, I will join the gym on Monday, or I need to lose some weight before I go to the gym because everyone's going to stare at me. And that's just your perception.
Nobody stares at anyone at the gym. They still
No
stare
one,
at themselves.
I don't, yeah, I don't look at anyone at the gym apart from myself, because I'm looking
Yeah.
at my biceps when I'm flexing out. I don't care what they're doing over there. I might look to see if they're looking at me and be like, I'm flexing at the same time. Or I might flex if they're looking at me. But it's like, no, I don't care who's staring at me. And I've got my earphones in anyway, so I can't hear anything. And, you know, it's like I'm in my world and I'm on my own. And you can do that as well, because you want it, and I want that mindset. So it's awesome once you've got it.
You know what? That's kind of my goal, is to I really want to get into I've got resistant bands, and I want to get into weightlifting properly. I've kind of started and stopped, and I want to do it properly because I absolutely love it when I do it, and I just want to do it safely, and that's kind of my goal. But I was just going to say on that one as well, you know, like sometimes I think with fitness, people seem to think about you got to be, you know, a quick runner with good stamina, or you've got to be strong to be able to lift stuff. But this is actually about how you age with your body, and the fitter your body is, that you know, the complications will be a far less, won't they? They're not going to be such an issue in the future. But you're just going to have a happier, older life, which is what we all want, isn't it? Rather than having these complications. I mean, nobody wants. I'm sure we've always seen it in like all our families, the little old people who wither away in a chair, and you think, I don't want to be that sort of person. I want movement. I want to be fit and healthy, able to get around and enjoy my body. Because I mean, what is life about if it's not to enjoy our bodies and being alive? And that's the most essential thing we have, the most valuable thing we have.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like my wife's grandmother is 94, and she was a physiotherapist. And even though she still eats her grains and stuff like that, and I don't agree with it, she goes a low, you know, she doesn't eat enough meat, and you can see it. But anyway, she's 94. But she was so active in her life because she every morning she would do her yoga routine as much as she can. And she tells me about it all the time because she's going a little bit dementia. But she tells me about it every time we visit. She tells me about yoga routine, which is where she goes all fours, lifts up the arms, and she's 94 and she can do this kind of stuff. So if she's 94 and she can do that, then I'm like, well, I can do it as well then.
Yeah. Exactly.
Has to be.
Love that. Okay, let's go on to the last two areas. So you talked about health generally, and I think this is very good. You talked about things that could be toxic for us, the things that could be really quite bad for us. So even though your macros might be right, you focused on particular things. I think that's the one you talked about, gluten, which is really interesting to me. I was kind of really taken aback by that. And I think actually that's something we could talk a bit more about, because gluten is something that in the keto world, there are people who think is absolutely fine. In fact, we've got a question sent by email about that. So I tell you what, I won't mention it too much now. We'll go into that question later. And I can see some people have left questions for us as well tonight. So we better crack on with those in a moment. And then well-being, the mental health, the mindfulness, the meditation. I just thought you really are the full packet. You know, you've got the whole thing going on there, Kev. You're not just talking about like food and macros. You're talking about actually how we can be centered beings. I'm trying not to be too woo-woo here.
No, we're not woo-woo. We don't do that.
yeah, we don't do that. Exactly. It's just about literally just giving your mind space. And well, you tell us about the last one then. So tell us a bit about well-being.
And anyone can meditate, and it's not just sitting down and sitting cross-legged with your hands, you know, and you don't have to do a meditation course to go on. I mean, I've done my meditation. I've got a diploma in meditation and mindfulness. So I've been there and I've done it to educate myself, but I didn't have to. I know how to meditate way before I'd done that. And all I do is I just sit down and I collect my thoughts. And that is all you really need it to be. You can't get any easier than that. So if you just sit down, collect your thoughts, and like kind of think about what you've done, what you want to do, and just be present with yourself. It's just as easy as that. And you can do it anywhere. I've done it on the side of the road before when I've been driving, you know, back from the UK or anything like that when I was in the, and I used to do this way before, You know, this was even before keto. I'd done this, so I would just step, you know, on the side of the road, turn everything off, just relax, and that's it. Just cut everything out, and that's all you need to do. That's as simple as that.
Yeah, love it. And I think in this day and age with mobile phones, it's just that constant being on, which is really negative, and it just, you know, it makes your mind is always in something else and not in the present, not in the moment. So that's really important. Right, are you ready for a question, Kev? Are you
Yeah.
getting nervous now? Because they're like, you know, there's these questions could come in from any angle on anything at all, about your favorite color, your phobias. It could be anything.
Don't like
Right.
snakes.
Oh, okay. That's the first question.
Yeah, who wants?
Right. Let's ask the first question then. This is from a guy called Brian. I put this out to the email list and I just asked anyone to send in a question they might have. And this is the gluten question. So this is relating to episode number 3. You mentioned that gluten is bad for your gut health. Is this something that affects everyone, or are some people more susceptible than others? I asked because I eat keto and I've occasionally eaten low carb baked goods that have gluten added. Is this okay for my health as somebody who isn't gluten intolerant? Go.
Okay, I'm gonna go full on. I'm gonna say that yes, it's bad for everybody's health, and people are gonna turn around and they're gonna say, "Well, I've been eating gluten on keto and low carb, and it doesn't affect me." And I will come back and I will say, "Have you ever not eaten gluten on low carb and keto, and then seen what it's like when you've gone back to it and realized how crappy you feel when you have that?" Do you know what I mean? So not everyone realizes it. Like I take my parents, for example. My mum says to me, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with me. I can eat gluten." Well, I've got celiacs, so mum, it must have come from somewhere. So she
Interesting.
says that she's not affected. But when she came over here and visited me in a non-gluten house, and she seems to have more energy a little bit towards the end of it, and then went back and had something, and she said that she was tired and things like that. So even though you think that you're fine and you don't have a gluten intolerance or celiacs or anything like that, it doesn't mean that you haven't, because you haven't lived long enough without it to realize what it's like. It's not just the gut ability, also what it does to your brain as well. And like I explained on the podcast, that I was always told that I was a clumsy child, and it was like, "Oh, that's just Kevin. He's just a boy and he's just this, and go and wait outside of the shop because you're not allowed in because you'll break something." And that's what I had. And it wasn't because I was clumsy, because I was, you know, it wasn't because I was a bit silly or whatever. It was because gluten affected my cognitive function. So it attacked the cerebellum, which is the back of your head, which I go into in the course as well, and which you'll be hearing more about over the next few months. So it attacks the cerebellum and it miscommunicates those signals. It disrupts the signals go into your brain. So when you go and grab something, you would go and grab something and maybe you'd miss it slightly and you wouldn't quite grab it, or you would trip up the stairs or trip down the stairs, or you would trip on, you know what I mean? You would have those imbalances. You would have something wrong with your speech as well. You would slur your words, perhaps. That all stems from a gluten intolerance where it attacks the cerebellum. So that's one of the things is in your brain, and you know, it's the cognitive function is a really big thing. But the other one, of course, is the gut permeability. And what it does is it sits on the inside of our gut, and it just basically chips away at the intestines until it actually attacks the microvilli, which is the tiny little bits sticking out, you know, like that on your intestines. And it clips onto those, and it digs away, and then it creates leaky gut syndrome. And leaky gut, everyone is susceptible to leaky gut. Every human on the planet is susceptible to leaky gut because we can't process gluten. It's not something that we can process. We can't digest it. It just sits there in our intestines, glue for gluten, gluing itself onto the intestines. Some people can flush it out quicker, so they are not so affected by it. Do you know what I mean? And that's why some people say it doesn't affect me. I feel fine, and I've been eating gluten for 30 odd years. But that's because they can flush it out quicker. but other people, it hangs on to it quicker and it damages us more, like our celiacs. So it creates the bigger problem. So that's when I look at a scale of like, like 1 to 10. So if you have celiacs, you are at 10. If you are just the normal Joe, you're still on number 1. You're not on 0. It's going to do some damage to you. But until you've lived the life for 2, 3, 4, 5 months, then you don't know the benefits of not eating it. And it really kills me when I see people doing the low carb and the keto thing and they say, but I still lose weight and I'm eating gluten. And it's not about that. It's not about that you can still lose weight when you eat it. It's about what it does to your body. And also the interesting thing with gluten as well is it's so high in lectins as well. And lectins can actually come back and you can gain 5 times more weight when you eat higher lectins than you can do when you're eating other things. So you're going to get that weight gain back.
Wow.
And you can, I won't say you will, you can. Lectins stimulate insulin receptors so that they think that you're actually having more than what you really are. So you're having a higher spike of insulin when you're eating high amounts of lectins. They also contain aflatoxins because when grains get stored and gluten, because gluten's highly processed as well, it's like we're trying to avoid these things and we're trying to go on a diet that is anti-inflammatory. But what we're doing is we're filling our diet with all these inflammatory foods it's counterproductive. So when grains get stored, they get processed, they get stored, and they build up a mold, and that's aflatoxins. And that is also pretty dangerous. And there has been very, very, very slim, very small cases of children dying from aflatoxin poisoning. So, but that is in a lot of more more third world countries, rather than ours. But they still store grains the same way. They still get processed the same way. So they still build up these molds because aflatoxin mold. So you don't want to be eating these things, and then they get processed into gluten. It's contain mold, lectins, and then that's it. It's damaging your gut. That's my take on it anyway.
Flipping heck. Well, that's a strong answer. There you go, Brian. So I like we said there. I like what you said there about the spectrum. That's really interesting. So nobody is getting away completely without risking a little bit of damage potentially. So even if you are affected less than somebody else, everyone is affected.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Really interesting. Okay. Right. The next question. Should we go to one that's been posted this evening? I don't know if you can see these or not, but I'll put these up on the screen so everyone who's watching can as well. This is from Beth Hawken. She says, hi from Milton Keynes. Hi, everyone in Milton Keynes. Not too far from me, actually. I love walking for about an hour a day, and then I love to dance. I've lost 3 stone this way, and I love carnivore. So thanks for what it really helps me stay focused. Right, thank you. Did I read that incorrectly? It might be just me being tired there. Sorry about that, Beth, for messing up your comments there. So I just think that's a really good story there, Beth. Thank you so much. And I think that carnivore is, I think for me, that is kind of the magic formula that just works really, really well. When I'm carnivore, I'm fuller. I feel much more energized. I eat less because I'm full for longer. And I really find as well that my nutrition is the balance is right. There's nothing depleting minerals. It's only giving minerals and micronutrients to me, isn't it? Is that kind of quite a common experience, do you think, the carnivore diet, Kev? And is that something that you recommend for people?
Here's the thing with carnivore, all right? So it is a complete body reset. So if you go carnivore for like 6 months or something like that, then you completely reset your body as well. It's like then you can introduce those foods that that you want to introduce and test to see if your body can tolerate that. So you can start off with like if you want to do that, and also it's super good anyway because you get everything you need from a carnivore diet. You don't need to eat plants because plants don't contain 15 minerals and nutrients. So vitamins, minerals, nutrients. There's 15 missing from a plant-based diet. So you can get everything from a carnivore diet, absolutely everything. So it's like you can live super healthy on carnivore, and people have been doing it for like 20, 25 years before it came popular now. And they've cured illnesses. You know, they've cured their diabetes with this as well. I know we can do that with keto as well. But it really has done some things. There's a doctor, Al Daneberg, I think his name is, and he was keto and he started putting his cancer in remission. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen for everyone. I'm just saying his story. So I'll be very careful there. He put his cancer, reduced the cancer size of the cancer on keto. Then he went carnivore, and it was apparently one of the most aggressive. It's super interesting. If you read his story, Al Daneberg, D-A-N-E Berg. Yeah. So I think carnivore is really good. It gives you a baseline to start to add those foods back into it. Those foods like lettuces, cucumbers, that are like kind of pretty much, you know, you can't really go wrong with cucumber. You know, it's like it doesn't contain lectins. It's pretty much water.
Just water,
You know,
isn't it? Yeah.
as long as you eat organic, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, and take the skin off, then you know, and the seeds out as well, then you're all right. You know, so it's quite, yeah, I like carnivore. But on the other hand, if you are someone like me that becomes stressed very easily, you have to be careful with carnivore, because if you are eating high amounts of protein and your body is demanding that it needs glucose, then gluconeogenesis kicks in and you will end up converting that into glucose, which can store as body fat. So this is where we go back and we talk about the well-being and the wellness side of things, on how we need to de-stress ourselves, because we want to be high in eating high amounts of protein so that we can build our muscle and rejuvenate our cells, because our body is built on protein. It's built on those, you know, those amino acids. We need them. But if you are, like I said, a total stress head, sometimes like I can be, if you eat a too high protein diet and you're training, then that can convert to glucose, because your body is demanding that it needs glucose. And that's what gluconeogenesis is as well. So, but it can be really, carnivore's awesome.
Wow, fantastic. I must admit, and I don't know if you find this, Beth, it'd be interesting to hear your opinion on this, so please comment again. But I find that you can overeat on carnivore at first, but then very quickly you get into the groove and you can't, because, I mean, like, for instance, you know, you have your fatty cuts of beef and it's just really tasty. But after a while, you can't do that all the time. You just feel like you've had one meal. That's me done for 24 hours quite often. So it's quite hard. Whereas I find carbs and sugar, on the other hand, is set up to make you want to eat it again, isn't it? It's set up to make you crave it and to keep going with it.
Highly palatable foods, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And you don't see animals like binging on meat, I wouldn't have thought, in the wild, because that's just not how it works with meat generally. Right, another quick question. So this is from Christian Jones. Hi, Dan. Hi, Kev. Hi, Christian. Good to see you this tonight. Really enjoyed the podcast. It made me reassess lots of things I thought I knew about keto. I have two questions. Number one, eating proper food is more expensive. Do you have any budget keto shopping suggestions? That's a brilliant question, because I think, you know, if you're eating rib of beef every night, it's going to cost you a fair penny, a pretty penny, but it doesn't have to be that way necessarily. And the second one is, has anyone told Kev that he looks and sounds like a miniature version of Joe Marler? He's a rugby player, right? So there you go. You're like a rugby. I just looked him up, so I do know that for sure now.
All right.
In our house, Keto Kev is AKA Mini Marler. Not mini. He's pretty beefy as well, I must admit. So anyway. So let's talk about the keto on a budget then, because that's a really good question that I get some people, you know, sincerely asking that, worried about money, and especially in the cost of living crisis we're in at the moment. I think is a really good point, isn't it? So can you talk a bit about that then?
Yeah, I mean, it's super easy to eat keto on a budget. I mean, it's easier than what people realize, and you just have to be open to having things that we are meant to eat. So the first thing you want to be doing is getting hold of organ meats. So liver, heart is amazing. I don't know why people don't eat heart as much as, you know, they need to eat it more, because it's a muscle,
isn't it? Really
it's
tasty
super delicious.
Well.
You know, it's like you can do so many different things with liver and heart. Kidneys, I'm not a fan of kidneys myself, but kidneys, you know, you can have all the offal type stuff. if you can get a hold of that kind of stuff. And then just go and look at the cheaper cuts. Oxtail, absolutely brilliant. Stick it in a slow cooker, like a instant pot or something like that. Stick it in with a little bit of pre-made stock. Take the bones afterwards. Make your stock for the next one, and you've got yourself some oxtail. You can even take because it falls off the bone. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, I'm getting hungry thinking about this. I do oxtail on a Sunday for the week, and that's my meal sorted out for my lunchtime sorted out for the week. And it is so gorgeous and tasty.
Yeah.
And it's that thick gelatin type stuff when it goes in the microwave and you warm it up a bit and you're like, oh, so good. So good. Anyway.
Even then, what you need to do from there is you need to take the beef tallow, which you've made as well yourself, because it's mega expensive to buy because everyone knows that it's so good for you. So you go to your butcher and you say, I want some beef fat. And he'll give you a kilo or 25 kilos of beef fat for a penny or something stupid like that. You get yourself a big 20-liter pot and you just sit there and you render that fat down and down and down and down over like a day or two on a really low heat. Keep on sieving it through. Keep on, taking it out, sieve it, put it for a coffee filter, put it for a sieve and a muslin, and get yourself some beef tallow. Then you jar it in a mason jar, and then that's you with your beef tallow. Then you take your beef tallow, you take your oxtail, you stick them together in a pan, and then you add some, kebab spices, like cumin, some turmeric, a little bit of, all kind of spices that we want. Add it all into the frying pan. And then, are you there? Yeah, sorry. Add it to the frying pan.
Froze a little bit there, but I'm here, don't worry.
So yeah, add it to your frying pan, spices, you got yourself like a kebab type thing. Also, what my wife does is she takes the cow's tongue and she puts it in the Instant Pot and boils it, and then peels the skin off because it's super thick. And what is left inside, we've got an electric meat slicer, because if you invest in these little things, it's fine. But if you can't afford one, it doesn't matter. Just take really thin slices of the oxtail, of the ox tongue, and also add kebab spices to it, and you've literally got yourself a kebab, a proper kebab. So there's so many different things you can do, and my kids eat that. My kids will eat it, and if my kids can eat it, and then anyone can eat it. Pork belly is not expensive, so you can have pork belly, which is good and nice fat as well. Brisket as well, shin of beef, lamb shanks, all of those bits that no one wants to eat because they get just thrown away, and can't understand why. Lamb's belly, which is not expensive either because there's not a lot of meat on it. You can roll that up. You can stick cream cheese and herbs and wild garlic in there, mushrooms, whatever. Go foraging as well. Like, go foraging and pick food. The English countryside is full of free food. You can eat daisies, you can eat dandelions, you can dig up their roots, you can eat mushrooms, you can eat watercress, you can go eat blackberries, cherries, the sea buckthorn. You can go and get food everywhere from February all the way through until the first frost. You can pick something from the wild larder and live off those kind of things.
Funny you say that. My dad he was raised in a stately home, but as the gardener's son. And so he grew up in the countryside, and he's very aware of foraging and whatnot. And I mean, I've got no bloody clue, I'll be honest now. But when I go out with him, he's like, oh, there's a walnut tree. Do you want a walnut? I'm like, oh, is it? And he's like, oh, if you just go around here, there's some little plums that I saw last time that I recommend. So we try some of those. Really lovely stuff, like wild stuff. Now, I think knowledge is really important on that stuff, but it can be done, can't it? I think as long as you do your research, and just be safe, don't go out to eat certain mushrooms and get yourself in trouble. That's all we're saying. But you can do your research and find out stuff. But I think what you just said there is really important about the budget stuff. And I think all I'd add to that as well is that eggs are your friend. And actually, eggs aren't expensive. I know you can have too many eggs, and I get that. But I do think at the same time, if you are a bit hard up, eggs are a good go-to place. Because you get good meals out of eggs every time. And I remember, Tim Noakes saying, in South Africa, they're trying to like recommend to, quite poor communities sometimes how to do keto. And actually, you'll say things like, use canned fish. If that's your budget, you can eat stuff like that because actually it's going to be better for you than having something with sugar in it that's going to make you hungry a little while later and then have to eat more food again. So I think that's definitely advisable. Just want to come back to Beth, by the way, because she's come back to us. She says she does OMAD, and I'm very happy with that. I can't eat many vegetables as I get very gassy and very bloated, which is very painful. So I try to avoid these very much so. As a fruit, the only fruit I eat are berries that our bushes in my garden provide me, which is once a year. Which, there you go, perfect. You can't get better than freshly grown berries, can you? And she goes on to say she loves oxtail, liver, kidneys, lamb's hearts. Love all that, and oxtail, made a lot of bone broth too. And I think that's exactly it. Like, you go to the butcher, those cuts are just wonderful, slow cooked. They're so tasty. Recommend that, definitely.
I mean, you can go to I bet you could go to the butcher and you can ask the butcher for bones and they'll give them to you for free. Some butchers give it to you free because they want to get rid of it. They don't want it. Do you know what I mean? They don't want it hanging around.
It can backfire though, Kev. So my local butcher, she's closed down, I realised recently. I went there and I was asking for bones, and he assumed I had a dog, but I never told him I did. So one day he said, "I've never seen you walk your dog." And I said, "I haven't got a dog." He's like, "But those bones I've given you the last couple of years, they're for me." And he looked at me like he was appalled, and I was like, "I didn't make up a dog, I promise." I just said, "If those bones are going, can I have them?" And I think he thought, well, if they're for me, he was going to charge me. For a dog, he wouldn't. So anyway. You can't please some.
Get yourself one of those really stiff leads with a collar and just walk past his shop one day and be like, "It's what? Like, can you see it? Can you not see the dog?"
I lost him. So I had to avoid that butcher for a while. Now he's shut, so it was clear that was his best customer. Okay, Sylvia sent me this question. She said, "I'm in a stall and need to lose more weight for a wedding this summer. Any advice?" Now, stalls and people probably doing quite well losing weight, but then they suddenly, as they say, stall. Are they stalling? Is that the right term for it? I don't know, Kev. Is there some advice you can give, or is this just part of the process?
Well, the good thing about the human body is it will adapt to any situation. But the bad thing about the human body is it adapts to every situation. So if you're sticking to like whatever your macros are, because I know they're not the be all and end all as macros, but we should look at them. So if you're eating a super high fat, medium protein and low carb diet, your body isn't going to burn that much fat because it's got dietary fat to burn for energy. So the number one thing is, which I have been crucified for the last 3 years for saying this, is you need a calorie deficit. And everyone says, or not everyone, but people say to me, you don't need a calorie deficit on keto because you're eating high fat. High fat, then obviously your metabolism changes. You get used to burning fat. Yeah, sure it does. You get used to burning fat and then you burn your dietary fat. So if you're chugging down 3 bulletproof coffees for breakfast with 50 grams of butter on each one, then you're not going to burn the belly fat that you've got. So you need to be looking at your macros to see if you are eating too much fat. So you need to adapt your body and adapt the situation. This is something that I've learned over the last 4 years of doing this or coaching for people. If you get used to doing something, if your body is used to burning in a certain way, it's just gonna say, okay, I'm eating that many calories. That's what I'm used to. So maybe you need to up your calories a lot, or maybe you need to drop them down a lot so that it shocks your body into thinking that I'm in a survival situation here. I need to burn energy. I'm not getting enough energy. And then it's going to change. Your metabolism is going to change and you're going to get used to that. And then you're going to change it again. That's the number one thing you can check. You also need to be seeing if you're eating too much dairy, because dairy, especially cow dairy, can cause inflammation and water retention. So you're going to end up hitting a stall if you eat too much dairy. Goats and sheep contain A2 casein protein. So you are not going to get that much of inflammation with that because your body can tolerate A2 more than it can A1. Then you need to look at nuts. People say macadamia nuts are brilliant when you're on keto and you should only have a handful. But has anyone ever tried to eat a handful or 5 macadamia nuts? It's not possible, because they're so delicious, because they're like super salty and nice. So you want to chug down like a whole packet, and then you're like, well, I've eaten too many nuts. So nuts can cause a stall as well. If all of your food is in line and everything's working good, then we need to go and have a look at the next 3 pillars. We need to have a look at fitness. Am I burning more calories than I'm taking in? Am I going out? Am I, doing some sport? Do I need to increase my HIIT exercise? Do I need to go for an extra 500 meters when I'm running, or do I need to do that extra 5 meters on the 500 meters on the rowing machine? Do I need to do those extra 2 deadlifts? Yeah, maybe I do. So you look into fitness. You can try dropping your carbs a little bit more as well. Going back to the food thing, you can drop them down a little bit more, or you could put them up a little bit, but not too much. You only like 30.
Interesting. Okay, I never thought that. Wow.
So it's just, again, excuse me a second, because I've just done a live video in my group as well. So I'm like completely spoken out today, because I don't talk to anyone all day, and then I come and do these things.
We've only got another 3 hours to go, Kev. You've got this.
I was listening to. I'm going to cut in there. I'm going to say I was listening to the last podcast that we did on the whole day that we done them, and I was like, right at the end.
Yeah. I love that. We did it one mammoth session, but so by the end of it, Kev was really struggling. So I thought, that's the thing. My voice is a little bit gone, and I was getting a bit tired. But after like almost 4 hours of live recording, like, you were just going for it. That's the power of keto, isn't it?
I don't talk to anyone during the day, because I live in Germany, so I don't talk to these people. So it's like,
oh no,
work on my own. Yeah,
you didn't really go for it.
No, go back to that. I'll finish answering the question first.
Well, I just want to ask you on that, because it makes a lot of sense what you're just saying. That your body's not stupid, and it will not be burning body fat if it's got enough of its own fat. It's eating in dietary fat, because that would be the opposite of survival. That would be stupid. To literally not use the fat you're eating and just think, I'll burn up all my resources.
Exactly.
Because tomorrow there might not be any resources.
It takes more energy to convert fat and burn fat that you've got in your body than it does the dietary fat. And I came out with this I didn't come out with it. I learned this about 4 years ago. When I started teaching and I was saying, no, your fat macro is too high, there were other people in the community, which I'm not going to, name and shame, but there were other people in the community that were going, that is a load of rubbish. Keto is high fat. You need to have 95% of your calories. And I'm like, if you do it your way, I'll do it my way. Years later, I'm seeing these same people that were slating me. They're turning around and they're saying, you should have really good amounts of high protein. And I'm like, been saying that for 4 years now. Do you know what I mean? So check out your fitness level, then look into your health and your well-being. Are you eating the right foods? Like, we go into the nuts again. Are we eating too many nuts? Are we eating too much dairy? Are we having too many lectins? Are we having green beans, which are high in lectins, and which, people say they boil out, but yeah, sure, but they still contain lectins. Are you having peanuts? Are you having gluten? You're having these things that we shouldn't really be having. And then look into the wellness. Are you looking after yourself? Are you doing cold plunges? Are you doing red light therapy? Are you going to the sauna? Are you wearing blue blockers, which I should be wearing now, but my wife stole them? Are you wearing blue blockers? Are you going out and you're doing barefoot walking around in the freezing cold kind of and the ground and grounding yourself? Are you getting outside, getting vitamin D, and are you not wearing sunglasses? Are you getting enough of these things in your life to turn around and say that you are the ancestral best way that you could be? And it's everything. It is the whole package. Are you tracking your sleep? Are you turning your TV off 1.5 hours before you go to sleep? Because that's imperative. Do you charge your phone inside your bedroom? That's another one as well. Are you sticking with, is the circadian rhythm of your body working right? Are you waking up when the sun comes out? Are you getting tired when it gets dark? I know we're doing this now, and it's like 10 to 10 over in Germany, and 10 to 9 in your place. It's probably dark, but I want to help people, so I don't mind doing that. But are you getting the sleep? Are you getting that deep sleep as well? Do you know what I mean? It's like,
love it.
It's a massive package that you got to look at.
Yeah, so true. And I think if you look at dementia levels and stuff, I think that sort of reflects the fact that people aren't getting enough sleep. Margaret
Yeah.
Thatcher famously had dementia, and of course we know she used to get 4 hours sleep a night. So it's not
Mhm.
surprising, really. She was then really kind of struggling with her mental health later, for sure.
Yep.
Okay, let's just go to some of more the points and the comments that have been raised. By the way, I just want to say to anyone who's listening now or who's watching this and hasn't left a comment, please do. We're going to be ending in the next 10 minutes or so I'm probably get another question in there, so you can do that, everyone. And that's on either the UK Low Carb Facebook page, the group. I think it's also in your group, Kev. It's certainly on
Yep.
YouTube. So leave a comment wherever you like, and I'll ask it of Kev because this is going out live. And this accompanies, by the way, a series and also an online course, which Kev's going to talk about in a little while at the end of this. Right, here we go. So Mona Palmer has a cookbook, Budget Keto, and Kev's book is coming soon. So there you go, from Louise Parkin.
I've been writing my book for 2 years, and everyone's so optimistic that I'm bringing it out soon.
Define soon.
No, I tell you what, right? I'll let you into a little secret, which I'm allowed to say now. I am doing a presentation at the next Keto Festival in London. It's been
Whoop,
confirmed.
whoop. Excellent.
I'm talking at 1 o'clock. Obviously, I'm going to talk about keto for health. And I know that it's at the end of May, but I do plan to have my book at least finished and into the spell checker, because I'm terrible, by the time I hit London, so I can give you more details on it. And even though it's not been confirmed, the guys that doing the keto low carb festivals, they would like to do another one sometime towards the end of the year, maybe September, October, somewhere up north would be good. And if they do, I will get my butt into gear and I will get books printed for that festival. So
there you go. So maybe we could do like an in conversation thing in front of an audience with your book at that point. That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? In person.
That's the plan.
Nice one. I'm
So
really pleased with you. That's
they
great.
need to do a festival, otherwise I can't go to the UK again.
There you go. That's exactly. Is that your excuse? Is it? Sorry, I have to go to the UK. I'm in demand. Yeah, I love it. Love it.
I'm looking every month to see if there's anything going on. Real Food Rocks, I've heard good things about.
Yes, Real Food Rocks is in June. I can't remember the exact date, but I can share that with everyone when I find out. Is it 11th?
Yeah, it's my son's birthday, so I'm trying to convince him to come with me.
Oh, that's sweet. So basically, they had one in 2019, and then of course COVID happened, so they didn't have any more. But it is a really nice place to have different like sellers at the same place with speakers giving talks and whatnot. Some lovely, lovely people, and a bit like the one in Bristol. Just nice being in a room with people and you're on the same page with each other, which is lovely. Okay, Dawn has said since last August she's lost 3 stone on a low carb diet. So there you go. That's fantastic. Nice. So well done you. And then she also has said, totally agree. I can drop carb volume a little lower each time I don't budge. Yeah, I think that's sometimes it. People, let's be honest, you can be really, really good on carbs and you've got them really low, but you can still find things suddenly creeping up again. That can happen very easily for all of us. So I suppose being aware of that and cutting it's a really good idea. Tina, who's been on the podcast, says, thanks, very interesting. What's red light therapy? I've never heard of it before.
Here's one I prepared earlier. So this is a red light, and I use it every day. And it's infrared light. And you just put it on, and you sit there with your eyes closed, and you meditate. And that's it. That's red light therapy. So it's just a red light therapy, and it helps rejuvenate cells. It's, to go into it now is loads of stuff. It's super good for you. You can get these really cheap. It helps with weight loss as well. I'm not going to say that it's going to be a miracle cure, but it can help. There's so many benefits of it. Just have a check what red light therapy, benefits. Have a look into it. You can pick one of those up for about $50 on Amazon, and then you can do it anywhere. It's pretty portable.
Wow, fantastic. There you go. So, you can be getting a little bit of a tan as well. That's nice.
Yeah. I'm actually doing my red light therapy diploma at the moment. So,
oh wow. Yeah. Okay, there you go. So next time we see him, he might have, might be able to tell us a bit more about that as well, which would be pretty cool. Okay, Alison says we definitely need something up north. I agree with you on that, Alison, because I just think that Bristol, Oxford, London, they're all very southern centric, aren't they, really? And I think definitely something up north. Maybe
Alison's Scotland.
Yeah, oh, right. So maybe we need something in Scotland, Alison. I reckon that's a great idea. Okay, so the next one is from Chris. Here we go. Evening, both. I'm keto for the last 6 months. I'm running my first marathon on Sunday on this lifestyle. I've run over 30 marathons on a carb lifestyle. This week, I'll normally be carb loading. What do you recommend I fuel up with now?
Well, if you, if you stick to what you've been doing, and you feel okay on it, then then try it. But yeah, you can, if you know what carb cycling is. So if you use the right carbs, like sweet potatoes, I know that's not keto, but if you use the right carbs, then you can do carb cycling. So you can still load up your carbs so that you can build up that energy, and you can have like raw honey and stuff like that to get that extra energy. That's not a problem. Carb cycling is okay if you are using it. So if you want to lose weight, then carb cycling is not a good idea. Also, what you can do is, which, not to plug a product here, but you can get ketone supplements, which are basically energy in a packet. It's like you would have these little glucose things that you would drink, dextrose and gels and stuff, but they are like a little somewhere. They're like a little packet about that big, real ketones. You can take those, and they will give you phenomenal energy. They're great if you want to like extend a fast, but I don't recommend ketone supplements for weight loss, because you want to be using your body should be creating its own ketones. But if you are doing sport, like I've hit loads of PRs, like deadlifts, bench press and stuff like that, with taking ketone supplements to add that little bit more power and energy into it. You can use ketone supplements. It's fine to do that, but don't rely on them for weight loss.
Yeah, well, actually, Chris just says here, I've been carnivore for the last 2 months. So interesting. So maybe then the adding the ketones might help. Aranda came on the show, and we actually did a whole show with a few different panelists about exogenous ketones, if they're worth it or not. Yeah. And it seemed to be pretty unanimous that for weight loss, like you said, no. But actually, for this kind of sporting, I mean, Chris is running a marathon. Actually, there was, I think, evidence they can really make a difference to give you that extra push if you're kind of pushing your body that hard. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, just go to and I see he's just commented down there as well. He uses Richard's BHB. That's Rich from Keto Pro. Yeah.
Right, great. And that's working for you, Chris, by the sounds of it. So really cool stuff. Excellent. Okay, then. And we've just got Beth has come back and said this. Dr. Anthony Chaffee, said all vegetables and salads have oxalates in. What's your thoughts? You mentioned oxalates before. I think, was it when we were talking about the chocolate I'm making, and you were saying how fewer beans would be better because it'd be lower in oxalates? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So yeah, he's right. And I actually I wouldn't say I interviewed him. He didn't interview me. We just decided to get together, and we were pushed together actually by one of my moderators, Razzie. So he pushed us both together, and we had a bit of a YouTube chat. And if you go back to his YouTube channel, then you'll see the chat that me and him had. And yeah, we had a good talk about oxalates. They're not in everything. I don't agree that they're in everything. Like they're not in lettuce leaves. They're in tiny amounts. But yeah, they are so everywhere that you wouldn't realize it. And oxalates can really damage your body, and they can form crystals, and they can form kidney stones, and they can form bladder stones. But what is good about oxalates is they are calcium binding. So if you're eating keto and you're eating vegetables and you want to reduce the effect of the oxalates, then you should eat dairy, because they're going to bind to the oxalates, and you're going to be able to flush them out your system and things like that. They're in tea, they're in coffee, they're in rhubarb, they're in spinach, almonds. The higher the percentage of dark chocolate, the more oxalates they've got in there, which is why Dan's chocolate is brilliant, because it's keto and low on the oxalate level. And it tastes delicious. Just even the bad batch, I still watch that video and I think, no, don't be silly, it was tasted good.
It could have just, I think it was slightly underground, that's all it was, because I was rushing it for Bristol, but the recipe was right.
It was fine. It was brilliant. I thought it tasted good. So they're everywhere, even in higher carb things like sweet potatoes as well. They're everywhere.
Yeah,
that's why I say, and kale and spinach as well. When people say spinach is a superfood, It's just, no, it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
Don't eat spinach. Just don't eat it. Like eat other fine, like eat other vegetables, but not kale and spinach.
It's also going to fill up your fridge, and when you cook it, you're going to have a little splat in the bottom of your pan, so you're not going to have much spinach from the actual bag. So, with
And
the,
it's going to sit and go moldy anyway, because it's going to sit in your fridge, and vegetables do that as well. Who's gone to the fridge and found moldy meat? Because I've never found moldy meat. I've
doesn't
gone
stay
to the
there long enough.
yeah, exactly. I've gone to the back of the fridge and I've gone, who bought courgettes and stuck them in the back of the fridge? Look, they're growing fur on them.
I think you've got a compost heap in your fridge, just like I do. Then, Kev, I understand.
Kids, mate.
Yeah, love it. Right, Victoria, this is the last question, and as Victoria's been on the show, I thought it'd be only right to have her ask the last one. Do you recommend any brands of ketone supplements? I'm training for a marathon, and these could be useful. So, what do you recommend, Kev?
I do. If I'm allowed to plug my affiliate link.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Yeah.
So I work with keto supplements, and they sell Real Ketones. So Real Ketones UK, and they come in little packets. And Sarah, she was the one that got me into it in the first place. You met Sarah.
I met her. She was there at the show. Yeah, in Bristol.
And we had a chat together because I was full on against supplements, keto supplements, because I was approached by Prove It.
Yeah, I know which one you mean. The gum. Yeah, yeah.
NAT ones. And the way they approached me, I didn't like their business structure when they were saying, or I didn't like their ethos, and they were saying, you can take ketone supplements and eat what you want. And I was like, no, shut up. What you want about? You can't just do that. That's just cheating. Yeah. And like, it won't work. So I dismissed and said how rubbish they were. But she came into me and she said, will you try them? And I said, you know what? I'm going to try them out, and I'm going to try them in the gym, because I don't want to lose weight with them, and I don't want them to be used for losing weight, but I want to be open-minded and experiment. So I used them in the gym and they were brilliant. I really enjoyed them. And then I tested out behind, like I went and I didn't tell anyone, but I went and bought the NAT ones as well, what they're called, Prove It and that. And they were rubbish. They didn't give me anything. I didn't lose weight. I didn't have any power in the gym. It was just over sweet, like American rubbish. It was just horrible.
I didn't. That's interesting. You've tested them then. I didn't know of a study like where someone's tried it on themselves. That's really interesting. Yeah.
I wouldn't say it was a study. Do you know what I mean?
but I mean, the fact you've got some sort of anecdotal evidence, I think it's quite nice to know.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't work for me. So I went back to Sarah and I said, yeah, I actually smashed a PR with them. I deadlifted 175 kilos, which was 20 kilos above my normal deadlift, which is massive for a deadlift.
Yeah.
I'm still learning and I'm still building up, and I want to do over 200, but still. So I use Sarah. And if you use the code Keto Kev, so it's realketones.co.uk/hashtag Keto Kev, then you'll get 10% off that.
There you go, Victoria. So that hopefully that'll help you with your marathon training, and all the best of luck there.
And they do, they do caffeinated ones, and they do uncaffeinated ones. They're like, not caffeinated. And they've just brought out a watermelon flavor, which is absolutely delicious, by the way. It really is nice. But be very careful, because they are an American product coming from the States. They are slightly sweet. So when it says add it to 1 liter of water, add it to like 2 liters of water.
Yeah. Okay. And that, sorry, just Beth is asking what's the website. So what's that again?
Yeah, I think it's co.uk. So realketones.co.uk/hashtag Keto Kev.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, I'll tell you what, guys, we'll write this underneath on the groups on the YouTube as well, so everyone can see that. So that makes it easier. Just before we finish today, Kev, and before I go into the thank you, I just want to ask you about your course, because I think it's really important we just talk about that. Where can people sign up for your course to learn a lot more detail and depth of stuff that you've kind of touched on this evening?
Yeah, so the course that I've put together is available on my website, which is just www.ketokev.com. And if you go into shop, then it's right there, the Keto Health course. I do it. There's 3 different things you can sign up for. You can sign up to do it yourself, and that costs, I think it's £99, because I've just changed all of the because obviously I live in Germany, I'm a German-based shop, so it was all in euros. So I think I've got it working now in pounds, so it should display in pounds. It should be £99, and you can do the course on your own. So if you haven't got the time to dedicate, this is basically my one-on-one training in a course that you can do yourself. So if you haven't got time to dedicate to me, or also if you can't afford it, because obviously it's going to cost more when you're with me because it's my time as well.
Would be, yeah.
Then you can sign up for that. And like I said, it's only 99 quid. And you can do the course. And if you're in my group, or even if you're not in my group, even if you're in Dan's group or anyone else, you can always come back to me and ask questions. It's not like there's the course, go away, do it on your own. I'm always available to, you know, help out and point in the right direction. So you can do that. You can also sign up for the course and my mindfulness course, which is on offer at the moment for 20% discount when you buy it in a bundle, or you can do it with me as my one-on-one training, which I only take 4 clients on at the time. So I really dedicate my time to you, but you might soon miss out on that because I'm not going to be doing the one-on-one training whilst I'm in the UK. And because I've got to build up to this presentation, I want to concentrate. I like to concentrate on people. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to just give them half. So yeah, but do the course, and you know, you'll learn so much. And people, like, the feedback that I've got so far has been absolutely amazing. And people are saying how much they've learned, and they didn't, you know, even from being in my group, just being in my group, all the information that I give and give and give and give, and they still come back and they were like, can't believe that I've learned even more from you. You know, and just have a look. There's reviews on the website. There's a video on the front page from one of my clients, Hannah. She swears by the course, and you can do it over and over and over again. You know, it's always online. And when you finish the course, you get your little certificate to say you've completed it. And then you get a Dropbox link where all of the information is in PDFs. So you can download that as a PDF. You can go through it on your phone, offline. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to be online. And the only way that that's ever going to come off my website is if I die.
So not for a long, long time then.
You know, and even then my kids are going to carry on my business anyway. So it will still be on. So it's always
the nascent empire. I love it.
Hell yeah.
Can I just say that not only is Kev a really knowledgeable guy, and I've learned so much from our series together, Kev, but this is a real labor of love for you. This is a real labor of love. You know, that course is all the things like what I'm hearing here. This isn't just a guy who's telling you his knowledge. He's sharing his path from recovery and how you saved your life and you saved your family and you did all of that. And I think that's really powerful. And that course is literally saying somebody, doesn't matter where you start, that it's possible, there's hope, that life can be better than this. And I think that's really powerful. I don't want to get emotional at the end here, but I think that is a really important thing to reflect on. And certainly when I did the podcast episode with you, I was struck by where you've come from to where you are. So don't judge him just based on all his knowledge now, but actually the whole journey he's been on to get where he is today. It's inspirational.
You're making me blush.
I think that's just your red light therapy, mate.
Yeah, I've got it on. It's the red from the screen as well.
It's the red from the screen. Yeah, he's not blushing, really. Anyway, well, thank you so much, Kev. It's been an absolute joy to do this with you, and I can't wait for May when we get to meet in person again. Hopefully, I'll have some staff to help me that time, so I won't be quite so busy. We can actually have a proper sit down and a chat, and I'll look forward to that. And in the meantime, I hope everything goes well for you with your book writing. You've got pressure now. We're all expecting a bestseller in no time at all. And
I have got loads of pressure. I've got loads of pressure anyway, because I've got my moderators in my group. These girls they work amazing and they help me out for free. So, you know, I want to shout out to those as well. All of those girls, you know, Jackie and Ashley and Maria and Razzie and Dawn as well, you know, and they work so much for me, and they do
some of them at the. Did they go to Bristol, by the way? Is that were they the moderators there that I was meeting?
Yep, the ones with the t-shirts.
Yeah. Oh, that's so lovely.
It was just Dawn. It was just Dawn that didn't go because she lives a little bit further up north. She couldn't get to it. But she does everything behind the scenes, Dawn, as well. She is honor me all the time. And these girls are amazing. They do it for free for me. They help me out so much. I would never be able to, and they keep me in line as well. You know, if you'd have known me 2.5 or 2 years ago, then I don't have a filter. Oh, there's Jackie just saying hi now. I don't have a filter, but they've taught me how to have a filter so that so I know when to shut up.
Love it. And just want to say on that point though, Jackie, Beth, Chris, Victoria, everyone who's been here, Tina, everyone's been here this evening, Alison, Dawn, we are all in the same tribe. And that's the thing that's also really important about all this, that we've got each other's backs. We can not only learn from people like Kev, but we can also support each other on the journey. I think that's really important. So, right, I'm not going to keep you much later because I know it's really late for you right now, but you take care, my man. Thank you so much for a great series. And thank you for tonight. And everyone who's been watching and following live, I just want to say a massive thank you to you as well. And I'll see you all very soon. Take care, guys.
See you later.